You're listening to Retail Disrupted, a podcast that explores the latest industry developments and the trends that will shape how we shop in the future. I'm your host, Natalie Berg. Okay, so for the past hour, I have been pulling my hair out, trying to figure out why my microphone wasn't working. It just wasn't connecting to anything. It wasn't connecting to Adobe Audition, which is what I use to record this podcast. It wasn't connecting to anything. And so I naturally went onto YouTube, watched a few tutorials. I was sort of scouring all of these troubleshooting forums on Microsoft and Adobe. I was even tinkering with my audio hardware settings. I mean, way over my head. Anyway, just when I was about to give up hope, I went to go physically move my microphone, and that's when I noticed the red light. Yeah, my microphone had been muted for the past hour. Oh, total novice here. Total podcasting novice. But there we go. So I'm still here, and I am keen to get this episode recorded tonight, so you will have it in time for the weekend. And today, we are going to be talking about AI, coming from a non-technical person who can't even tell that our microphone is muted. But today we are going to be talking about AI, and I don't know about you, but it feels like artificial intelligence is a topic that is just everywhere at the moment. It's been another week, another round of headlines about AI. The good, the bad, and the really scary, like whether it will lead to the extinction of humanity. We won't be covering that on today's show. Now, again, disclaimer, I am not an AI expert. I am certainly not a generative AI expert. But today we're going to be talking about generative AI in particular. And again, it just shows how fast-paced all of this technology is, because I think that if you asked 6 months ago, if you asked most people in the retail industry if they'd ever even heard of generative AI, I think it would be a resounding no. So things are moving quickly because now it just seems to be everywhere. And I'm sure, like a lot of you, I am really curious about it. I'm curious about how it can drive further change in the retail industry. And I'm especially curious about the potential for it to enhance the customer experience, because that's something I'm personally really passionate about. It's something that led me to jointly write the book on Amazon with Maya. And it's something I'm talking about on a regular basis in my presentations and blogs and white papers. I just am really, really interested in how retailers can, especially using technology, elevate the customer experience. Just always kind of move the dial and make things even better, even more frictionless, even more personalized, more relevant. Just all round improving the customer experience. Okay, so let's get into it. French retailing giant Carrefour has become the first grocery retailer to integrate ChatGPT into its e-commerce website. Now, this is an important one to watch because Carrefour is one of the largest retailers in the world. And like the Walmarts and the Tesco's and all of the other multinational retail supertankers, Carrefour has had to rapidly become more digitally minded and really transform its business. Carrefour believes that generative AI will enable them to enrich the customer experience, but also it will enable them to transform their working methods. So we're going to get into what all of this means. Now, last week, late last week, actually, just as I was recording last week's episode, Carrefour put out a press release outlining how exactly they are planning to use this technology. So there's 3 things to run through here. Now, the first, and this, in my view, is the most exciting because it's the big customer-facing one. The first thing is the launch of an AI-powered chatbot called Opala. I'm going to say that in my French accent because as an American, I think I would naturally want to say hopla, which I'm sure would make all my French listeners cringe. So this is a chatbot based on ChatGPT, which was integrated into Carrefour's website just last week. So hot off the press. Now, shoppers can use this AI tool to help them with their everyday shopping. So they can ask it for help in selecting products to add to their basket. And again, this is the possibilities are endless here. I mean, there's so many different factors when we go grocery shopping. And when you think about different budgets, different food constraints, or preferences, or the potential for recipe suggestions. I mean, there's so much more that I think supermarkets can do. Now, one thing that was interesting around the messaging of all this, on Carrefour's site, they're saying that Opala is going to help you eat better and cheaper. Manger mieux et moins cher. There we go. That's the extent of my French for this episode. Now, I think this messaging is interesting because online grocery has really always been about saving time, not really about eating better, and certainly not about saving money. Online grocery retail is all about giving you time, your precious time, the one thing that money can't buy. It's all about giving you time back in your day. It's never been about saving money. And I think it's interesting to see how AI might enable a shift in that perception, both in terms of making operations more efficient on the back end, which isn't something that Carrefour is talking about today, but we all know that that's another important use case for AI. But also as a tool to steer shoppers towards making smarter decisions. So, for example, buying own label products, bulk buying, utilizing ingredients that you already have at home. And I'm going to come on to this in a little bit more detail in just a sec. Now, Carrefour is not the only retailer, and they're certainly not the only grocery retailer that is experimenting with AI, and in particular, these AI chatbots. Earlier this year in the US, Instacart launched something similar, a new feature called Ask Instacart. Maya and I talked about it on the podcast back in March. So if you are interested, I would definitely recommend going back to hear Maya's thoughts. There's lots of really interesting points that she made around the opportunities in AI and also just really driving home that point that, look, the supermarkets are housing thousands and thousands and thousands of SKUs with the potential for huge personalization. So naturally, they're going to be the first ones to test out AI. There's a real use case there, right? Now, I think that this is something that is just going to explode in the grocery e-commerce space over the next 12 to 18 months. Provided these AI chatbots are well-behaved and do what they say they're going to do, well, I think that this really has the opportunity to take online grocery shopping to the next level. Because at the moment, so many of us as shoppers are sleepwalking when we buy groceries. And that's even more true when we're buying groceries online. It is a chore. We tend to buy the same things. And in fact, supermarkets have kind of steered us down this direction of repeat orders and just making it as easy and convenient as possible. I mean, I love that. I'm an avocado shopper. Sometimes I'm also a little shopper as well. We'll come on to that in another podcast. But over the years, being a busy mom, I've loved the convenience of avocado and that yellow button that lets you add everything from your previous order to your trolley, as they say. Now, of course, the online grocers were right to double down on the whole convenience aspect of shopping online. Saving us time would ultimately make us more loyal. And this makes sense for two reasons. First of all, if we're buying groceries online, we are probably pretty time pressed to begin with. Second of all, we're creatures of habit. We buy the same stuff every week. In fact, around 85% of the items that we buy week in and week out are exactly the same. Grocery shopping is habitual. So I think that these AI chatbots are a great way to just inject a little bit of inspiration tailored to, a shopper's individual preferences, whether that's dietary, culinary, budget, cooking skill. How good of a cook are you? How complicated do you want it to be? How much time do you have? Do you want something with, just a few ingredients? There's so many different factors. And of course, you're marrying all of this with the ease of buying online. So what else can this AI robot do? Well, it's connected to Carrefour's search engine, and it offers customers lists of products related to what they're discussing right up until they make that purchase. Now, I think that sounds kind of annoying. If I'm honest, I'm not sure I'd like that. Sounds a little bit intrusive. But again, if it's relevant, maybe I'd be up for it. Carrefour says it can also suggest anti-waste solutions for reusing ingredients. Now, this is pretty cool because it's happening in the physical world now as well. So when ChatGPT 4 was released a few months ago, one of the new capabilities that they announced, it's called Virtual Volunteer. And this was something at the time I thought, actually, you know what, I could see the benefit there. I would actually use that. And that could make my life a little bit easier. So let me explain what it is. I did talk about it in the past episode with Maya, but just to recap. So you take a photo of your fridge, the contents of your fridge, and not the outside. That wouldn't do very much at all. So you open your fridge, you take a photo of what's inside. The app will then identify what's in there and then magically come up with recipe suggestions. Now, I know the industry has talked about, we're talking about the future of supermarkets and the potential for smart fridges. This has been talked about for years and years, and smart devices, which to be fair, have come on. But smart fridges are just really expensive toys. And I feel like this kind of technology can really democratize that service. It can really make life easier for the customer, actually save them money, and reduce food waste in the process. So a win-win. The AI chatbot, in my view, is the biggest customer-facing change, but Carrefour also announced that it's going to start using AI to do a couple of other new things. So just very briefly, I'm going to run through those. The first is to enhance its product sheets. Carrefour says that this is the result of work undertaken by OpenAI technology in describing products and providing customers with more information. So it's now being used on over 2,000 products online. I believe it's only Carrefour branded products, so own label products. But I know that down the road, Carrefour wants to use this tech for all of its product sheets. So big brands and private label as well. The last thing that Carrefour announced is that it has started using generative AI for its internal purchasing processes. So again, very different to what we've been discussing, but really important as well if it helps to make Carrefour more efficient. Now, if you're interested in learning more, I would recommend going onto LinkedIn and checking out some posts from Elodie Perthuizeau, who is the Chief E-commerce, Digital Transformation, and Data Officer at Carrefour. She's always posting really interesting stuff around AI at Carrefour. And as you can imagine, she's been a little bit busy the past couple of weeks. So she's posted a few updates of, the new announcements, all of the things we've run through today. And she also does a great demo of the new Opala chatbot in action. So it's worth checking out those videos. Gives you a real feel for the user experience in the flesh. Now, I want to leave you with this. Firstly, kudos to Carrefour for being so progressive and an early adopter in this space. This technology is new, it's exciting, incredibly fast-moving, and it has the potential to really revolutionize online grocery shopping. And right now, it is going to be a differentiator for Carrefour. But at what point does it just become a customer expectation? As Jeff Bezos has said in the past, if you get it right, the new thing becomes normal, people yawn, and that yawn is the best compliment that you can receive. Thank you for listening to Retail Disrupted. If you enjoyed this episode and would like to support the podcast, please leave a rating or review, or share it with others. It really makes a difference.